Welcome to How to Speak Smart. Master the Psychology of Powerful Communication. This isn't just another book on public speaking or how to talk more eloquently. It's about unlocking the psychology behind words, how to use your voice, message, and presence to connect, influence, and lead. Every day, we speak thousands of words. But how many of them actually make a difference? How often do we truly get our message across, in a way that's not just heard, but remembered, respected, and acted upon? Smart speaking is not about using big words or having a polished accent. It's about speaking with clarity, intention, and emotional intelligence. It's about knowing your audience, framing your message, and using tone, timing, and empathy to leave an impact. Whether you're talking to a friend, giving a presentation, or negotiating a raise, your ability to speak smart shapes how others see you and how far you go in life. In this audiobook, we'll take a deep dive into the mindset of a powerful communicator, the psychology of listening and influence, how to structure your message like a master, secrets to sounding confident even when you're nervous, language tricks used by leaders, marketers, and negotiators, and how to adapt your style in any situation, from the boardroom to casual conversations. Each chapter builds on the last. You'll learn skills, see real-life examples, and get practical techniques you can use immediately, no matter who you are or where you're starting from. So if you're ready to stop mumbling and start commanding attention, if you want to speak with presence, power, and purpose, then let's begin this journey together. Speaker's Mindset. Chapter 1. The Smart Speaker's Mindset. Imagine you're in a room full of people. Some are talking, some are scrolling through their phones, and some are simply observing. Then suddenly, someone starts speaking, and the room goes quiet. Everyone listens. Not because the speaker is shouting, not because they're famous, but because there's something about the way they speak. Their words land. Their tone captivates. Their presence commands attention. That's the power of speaking smart. And it all begins with mindset. The mindset behind every powerful speaker. Before we talk about vocal tone, body language, or clever words, we need to start at the core. How you think about communication. Smart speaking isn't just a skill. It's a mindset, a way of thinking and seeing yourself and your audience. It's about knowing that your voice matters and choosing to communicate with purpose and clarity instead of fear or filler. If you walk into a conversation thinking, "I hope I don't mess up," or "I'm not good at speaking," you've already limited yourself. Great communicators don't wait to be confident. They prepare their mindset so they can become confident. They focus less on impressing and more on connecting. Shift 1. From performance to connection. Most people approach speaking like a performance. They try to memorize every word. They rehearse how to look impressive. And as a result, they sound robotic, stiff, or overly rehearsed. Smart speakers don't perform. They connect. They see every interaction, whether it's one-on-one or in front of a crowd, as a moment to build trust, to build rapport, to build understanding. This shift is huge. Instead of worrying, "What should I say so I don't look stupid?" ask yourself, what does this person need to hear to feel understood? The goal isn't to be perfect. It's to be present. Shift 2. From anxiety to curiosity. Let's face it, speaking can feel scary. What if you forget your point? What if they judge you? What if you say the wrong thing? Here's a truth you need to hold on to. Nerves are normal. Even the best speakers feel nervous. The difference is, they've trained their mindset to turn that nervous energy into curiosity. Instead of focusing on themselves, they focus on the audience. What do they care about? What are their fears, hopes, or challenges? What will make them lean in? Curiosity quiets anxiety. Because when your attention shifts outward, the inner critic goes silent. Shift 3. From speaking to building. Think of smart speaking like construction. Every word you say is like a brick. If your message is unclear, you're just stacking bricks without direction. But when your mindset is focused on building something, a connection, an idea, a solution, your words start forming structures people can step into and believe in. Smart speakers don't just say things. They build meaning. That means being intentional about what you say, and more importantly, why you're saying it. Ask yourself before every conversation or presentation, what do I want this person to understand, feel, and do by the end? Shift 4. From reaction to response. Have you ever been in a heated conversation and blurted something you later regretted? That's reacting. Smart speakers train themselves to respond, not react. They pause. They breathe. They listen with intention before jumping in. They know that silence can be more powerful than speech if used wisely. This takes mental discipline. But the mindset here is simple. Don't speak to win, speak to understand, and then be understood. Speaking smart means staying grounded even when emotions run high. Practical ways to train the smart speaker mindset. So, how do you develop this mindset in real life? Let's break it down with some practical tools. 1. Affirmation practice. What you say to yourself is just as important as what you say to others. Each morning, speak this aloud. My voice matters. I connect with clarity and confidence. I don't need to be perfect, I need to be present. Affirmations train your brain to trust your voice. 2. Observe great communicators. Watch interviews, TED Talks, podcasts, not just to hear what's said, but to observe how it's said. Notice how they pause, how they emphasize key words, how they simplify big ideas, how they make people feel seen and heard. You'll start noticing patterns and absorbing techniques naturally. 3. Practice being brief but clear. Smart speakers don't ramble. They're concise and impactful. Try this exercise. Pick any idea you love and explain it in 30 seconds to someone who knows nothing about it. If they understand you and stay interested, you're speaking smart. 4. Reflect after conversations. Ask yourself, did I speak with clarity and calm? Did I truly listen? Did I make the other person feel heard? Reflection builds awareness, and awareness is the foundation of smart speaking. 5. Embrace silence. Silence is not awkward. Silence is power. Smart speakers pause on purpose, to let ideas sink in, to gather thoughts, or to invite reflection. Start pausing before you answer questions. Take a breath. That pause makes you sound thoughtful and confident, even if you're still collecting your thoughts. Final thought for this chapter. Speaking smart isn't about sounding fancy. It's about being intentional. It's about aligning your thoughts, your presence, and your words, so people listen, trust, and remember. The smart speaker's mindset isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. It begins the moment you stop trying to impress and start trying to connect. So before we dive into vocal tools, persuasion frameworks, or body language secrets, remember this. Your voice is a tool. Your words are influence. And your mindset is the engine that powers it all. Chapter 2. The Psychology of Listening and Influence. Chapter 2. The Psychology of Listening and Influence. We often think of great speakers as people who talk well. But truly smart communication begins not with what you say, but with how well you listen. Here's a surprising truth. If you want to become a powerful, persuasive speaker, you need to master the art of listening first. Because influence doesn't happen by talking at people. It happens when people feel like you understand them. And understanding starts with listening. Not just hearing words, but tuning into meaning, emotion, and intention. This chapter will take you deep into the psychology of listening and how it creates the foundation for influence. Let's break this down. Listening is not waiting to talk. Most people don't actually listen. They wait for their turn to speak. Have you ever been in a conversation where someone was nodding politely, but you could tell they weren't really hearing you? Maybe they were planning what to say next. Or maybe they were just waiting for you to finish so they could speak. That's not listening. That's performance. Smart speakers listen with presence. They listen to understand, not to reply. They listen because they know every word spoken gives them insight. Insight they can later use to respond more effectively, connect more deeply, and influence more powerfully. The listening loop. Understand before being understood. There's a principle in psychology called the listening loop. It goes like this. People listen more to those who make them feel understood. To make people feel understood, you have to actually understand them. That understanding comes from focused, active listening. You want to influence someone? Make them feel heard. Here's what happens when people feel heard. Their defenses go down. Their minds open up. Their emotions settle. Their trust increases. It's only after that, after someone feels heard, that they become open to what you have to say. Smart speakers always enter conversations with this loop in mind. They think, let me first understand where this person is coming from. Then, I can guide the conversation. Listening isn't passive, it's active. There's a big difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is passive. It's automatic. You hear sounds whether you want to or not. Listening, on the other hand, is active. It's a choice. It requires energy and focus. Active listening means maintaining eye contact, asking thoughtful questions, repeating or paraphrasing key points, not interrupting, staying fully present. And most importantly, it means empathizing, trying to feel what the other person is feeling. Smart speakers use listening as a tool to gather data, emotional data. Because every sigh, pause, or word choice gives clues about what a person really needs. Why listening builds influence. People don't follow the best talkers. They follow those who understand them. When you listen deeply, something powerful happens. The person you're speaking to starts to feel safe. They feel valued. They feel like their voice matters. And once they feel that way, your words start to carry more weight. Think about a great leader, teacher, or mentor you admire. Chances are, you didn't just like how they spoke, you liked how they made you feel. Like you were seen. Like you mattered. That's the secret. Influence starts with emotional connection. And emotional connection starts with listening. The mirror effect. Reflecting builds trust. One of the most powerful listening tools is mirroring. Reflecting back what someone said, either through paraphrasing or repeating their key phrases. For example, so what I'm hearing is, you're feeling overwhelmed because you have too much on your plate? It sounds like you're frustrated that your efforts haven't been recognized. Is that right? This does two things. It shows that you were actually paying attention. It allows the other person to feel emotionally validated. When people feel validated, they stop resisting. They open up. They begin to trust. That trust becomes the foundation for meaningful influence. Listening gives you the words they already believe. Here's a practical reason listening matters in persuasive communication. It gives you their language. If you want someone to agree with your idea, use the words they already use to describe the problem. For example, if someone says, I'm tired of meetings that go nowhere, and you later say, let's cut the pointless meetings and focus on real action, you've now spoken their language. You're not just giving advice, you're giving it in a way they're more likely to accept. This is influence psychology in action. Smart speakers don't force ideas. They listen first, then tailor their message using words and emotions the other person already connects with. The 3 levels of listening. To go even deeper, let's look at the 3 levels of listening. Level 1. Internal listening. This is surface level. You're technically listening, but your mind is focused on yourself, your thoughts, your reply, your opinions. Most people spend their time here. Level 2. Focused listening. This is intentional listening. You're giving full attention. You're tuned in to the words, tone, and meaning. You're not just hearing, you're trying to understand. Level 3. Empathic listening. This is the deepest level. You're not only hearing words, you're feeling the emotion behind them. You're picking up what's not said. You're reading body language, tone shifts, and subtle emotional cues. Smart speakers aim for level 3. They practice it. They make people feel like they're the only person in the room. And that's what creates deep connection and lasting influence. Barriers to listening, and how to remove them. Let's quickly address what gets in the way of good listening. Distractions, phones, noise, wandering thoughts. Solution: be present. Eliminate distractions before the conversation. Assumptions: thinking you know what the person is going to say. Solution: stay curious. Assume you don't know. Emotional triggers: taking things personally or becoming defensive. Solution: breathe. Focus on understanding before responding. Interrupting: trying to finish the other person's sentence. Solution: let silence be okay. Let them finish completely before you speak. Smart listening is a discipline, but the payoff is massive. More trust, more clarity, and more impact when you speak. Final thoughts. If you want to be a smart speaker, start by being a smart listener. Because listening is what gives your words power. It's how you gather emotional insight. It's how you connect to people's hearts, not just their ears. Influence doesn't begin when you open your mouth. It begins the moment you decide to understand and truly hear the person in front of you. So before your next conversation, ask yourself, can I listen with curiosity? Can I make this person feel understood? Can I use what I hear to respond with purpose? This is how smart communication is built, from the inside out. Chapter 3. Speak with clarity, not complexity. In a world filled with noise, clarity is power. People are bombarded with messages every day, in meetings, in conversations, on screens. And most of those messages? They're confusing, cluttered, or easily forgotten. If you want to stand out, if you want your words to land, if you want people to remember what you say, then clarity is your best tool. Speaking smart isn't about sounding impressive. It's about making your message impossible to misunderstand. That's what this chapter is all about. How to speak with clarity, not complexity. Let's begin. Why people respect clarity over complexity. There's a common myth that if you use big words and complex sentences, you'll sound smarter. The opposite is true. People don't follow those they don't understand. In fact, studies show that the simpler your message, the more intelligent and confident you appear. Why? Because simplicity signals mastery. When you can take a complex idea and explain it simply, it shows that you truly understand it. You're not hiding behind jargon or filler. You've thought it through, and now you can deliver it in a way that anyone can grasp. The smartest people make things feel simple. Clarity is not about dumbing down. It's about lifting up. Let's be clear, speaking simply doesn't mean treating people like they're dumb. It means honoring their time, attention, and brainpower by making your message easy to grasp. Not vague, not oversimplified, just clear and direct. People want to understand things quickly. If you force them to work too hard to figure out what you're saying, you'll lose them. Speaking clearly is a sign of respect. It says, I value your time. I want this message to be useful to you. Rule 1. Say one thing at a time. Clarity starts with focus. Too many speakers try to cram 10 ideas into one sentence. The result? The listener remembers nothing. Great communicators speak in clean, focused thoughts, one at a time. If you have several ideas to share, break them up. Give each one room to breathe. For example, instead of saying, "In today's meeting we'll cover performance metrics, strategy development, and next quarter's hiring plans in addition to the new marketing pitch we've been discussing." Try. First, we'll review performance metrics. Then, we'll move into strategy for the next quarter. After that, we'll talk hiring plans. And finally, we'll look at the new marketing pitch. Clear. Structured. Easy to follow. Rule 2. Use short sentences. Simple words. You don't have to sound academic to sound smart. Use common, everyday language. The goal is to connect, not confuse. Compare these two examples. We must endeavor to implement a multifaceted, synergistic operational paradigm. Let's work together on a better plan that actually works. Which one do you trust more? Simple language doesn't weaken your message, it strengthens it. It removes barriers. It builds trust. Speak like a real person, not a textbook. Rule 3. Cut the filler. Many people fill their speech with unnecessary words and phrases. This makes their message longer, slower, and harder to digest. Watch out for phrases like, "At the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is," "basically," "you know." Filler words weaken your impact. They clutter your message. Most of the time, they can be removed completely, and your sentence becomes clearer as a result. Here's a practical tip. Record yourself speaking. Play it back and highlight every word you didn't need. With practice, you'll begin to self-edit in real time. Rule 4. Use examples to make ideas stick. Abstract concepts are hard to hold onto, but examples make them real. Let's say you're explaining a new marketing strategy. Instead of describing it in theoretical terms, give a real-world example. Say, think of it like this. Instead of sending one email to everyone, we're creating smaller, focused messages that speak directly to each type of customer. Examples create pictures in the listener's mind. And pictures are easier to remember than abstract ideas. If you want to be clear, tell stories, use analogies, and paint pictures with your words. Rule 5. Pause between ideas. Clarity isn't just about what you say. It's also about how you say it. Smart speakers use pauses to separate ideas. This gives the listener time to absorb what was just said and prepare for what's next. When you rush from one sentence to the next without a break, your audience can't keep up. But when you pause, even for just a second, your message becomes clearer, more structured, and more powerful. Use silence as a tool. Let your words land. Rule 6. Use structure to guide the listener. People love structure. It helps them follow along. Smart speakers give their listeners signposts along the way, little cues that show where the conversation is going. For example, there are 3 main points I want to share. Let me break this down for you. First, then, finally. These phrases guide your audience. They know what to expect. And when people know what's coming, they listen more attentively. Structure creates clarity. And clarity creates impact. The 3 C's of clear speaking. To sum up, here's a simple model to follow every time you speak. Clear. Use simple language. Say one thing at a time. Concise. Cut the filler. Be brief, but impactful. Concrete. Use examples, analogies, and stories. This formula works in any situation, whether you're giving a presentation, pitching an idea, or just answering a question in a meeting. Final thoughts. You don't need a huge vocabulary to be an effective communicator. You need clarity. You need to make people get it quickly and easily, because people don't remember what they don't understand. They don't act on what confuses them. And they won't follow you unless your message makes sense. So, the next time you speak, ask yourself, am I being clear? Am I using simple language? Am I helping people understand, or just trying to sound smart? Clarity wins. Every time. Chapter 4. The Power of Pauses, Tone, and Timing. Words are only one part of smart communication. How you say them, the pauses you take, the tone you use, and the timing you choose often has a greater impact than the words themselves. Think about the last time someone gave a powerful speech or presentation. Was it just the words that moved you? Or was it the way they delivered those words, the rhythm, the tone, the energy, the silence between sentences? This chapter is all about mastering those nonverbal elements. Because in smart speaking, delivery is everything. Let's start with one of the most underrated tools in communication, the pause. The power of the pause. A pause is not just a break in speech. It's a tool of clarity, control, and command. When used intentionally, pauses allow your message to sink in, build anticipation, give you a moment to think, show confidence, create drama or emphasis. Most people rush when they speak. They fear silence. They fill every space with or unnecessary words. But smart speakers embrace silence. They know that saying nothing at the right moment can be more powerful than saying too much. Imagine this. You have everything it takes to change your life. That pause builds tension. It draws the listener in. It creates space for emotion. And it adds weight to the message. Want to sound more confident? Start pausing on purpose. Where to pause? Here are 3 key places to pause when speaking. After a key point, let it land. Don't rush to the next idea. Example, this strategy could double our revenue if we use it correctly. Before an important statement. This builds anticipation. Example, there's one thing I want you to remember from this talk. Just one. When you lose your place, instead of panicking, pause. Breathe. Collect your thoughts. The pause will make you seem thoughtful, not lost. Practicing intentional silence is one of the fastest ways to sound more authoritative. The power of tone. Tone is your attitude, your emotional fingerprint. It's how your voice sounds, and it carries more meaning than the words you choose. You can say the same sentence in 5 different tones and get 5 different reactions. Let's take the phrase, "Are you coming with me?" Say it with excitement. It sounds like an invitation. Say it with suspicion. It sounds like doubt. Say it with anger. It sounds like a challenge. Say it with fear. It sounds like a plea. Say it with flatness. It sounds indifferent. Your tone reveals your emotion, even if your words don't. That's why smart speakers pay close attention to how they sound. Matching tone to message. To master tone, you must first become aware of it. Ask yourself, does my tone match the message I want to send? Am I coming across as warm, firm, excited, or bored? Do I sound like I care? Here's a simple breakdown of tones that influence. Warm tone builds trust and connection. Energetic tone creates excitement and motivation. Calm tone reduces tension and builds clarity. Firm tone commands respect and authority. Empathetic tone makes people feel understood. Curious tone invites collaboration and openness. Smart speakers choose their tone based on their goal. They don't rely on autopilot. They speak with intention, both in what they say and how they say it. The role of volume and pace. Tone is also shaped by your volume and speed. Too loud, and you may sound aggressive. Too soft, and you may seem unsure. Too fast, and people may not catch your message. Too slow, and you risk losing attention. The goal is balance. Use speed and volume as tools, not habits. Want to build excitement? Speak with more energy and a slightly faster pace. Want to emphasize a serious point? Slow down and lower your volume. Want to keep attention? Vary your pace and pitch to avoid sounding monotonous. Monotone kills engagement. Variety keeps people interested. Timing, knowing when to speak and when not to. Smart communication isn't just about saying the right thing. It's about saying it at the right time. Timing is what makes a joke land. It's what makes a point hit home. It's what makes a conversation flow naturally. In conversation, good timing means waiting your turn, not interrupting, knowing when to jump in, reading the emotional state of the moment. In presentations, good timing means knowing when to pause, pacing your points, saving key messages for the right moment. Smart speakers are always tuned in to the tempo of a conversation. They know when to hold back and when to push forward. Emotional timing. Timing isn't just about rhythm. It's also about emotional readiness. For example, delivering feedback right after someone has failed may not land well. They might be too emotional. But waiting until they've cooled down creates space for real understanding. Or think of humor. A well-timed laugh can build connection. But a joke delivered too soon, or during a serious moment, can create discomfort. Smart speakers are emotionally aware. They understand the mood. They time their words to match that mood or shift it gently. Practicing pauses, tone, and timing. Here's how to build these skills into your speaking. Record yourself. Deliver a short message. Play it back. Listen for tone, pacing, and pauses. Adjust and try again. Read aloud with emotion. Pick a paragraph from a book or article. Read it with different tones, warm, firm, excited. See how it changes the meaning. Practice pausing. Before a key point, stop. Breathe. Then speak. Get used to the silence. It's your ally. Slow down. When nervous, most people speed up. Practice speaking at 80% of your normal pace. It will feel slow, but it will sound calm and confident. Play with timing in conversation. Try pausing before replying. Let the other person finish completely. Watch how this changes the flow and the respect you receive. Final thoughts. Words matter, but how you deliver them matters even more. In the hands of a smart speaker, silence becomes strength. Tone becomes trust. Timing becomes influence. So ask yourself, am I rushing my words? Am I using tone to reflect emotion and intention? Am I using silence to highlight what really matters? Speaking smart is not just about what you say, it's about how you say it. Chapter 5, Body Language That Speaks Louder Than Words. Chapter 5, Body Language That Speaks Louder Than Words. Before you say a single word, your body has already spoken. The way you stand, the way you walk into a room, how you hold your hands, where your eyes go, all of it sends a message. And often, it's louder than your voice. You've probably heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words. In communication, it's more accurate to say, your body speaks before your mouth does. Smart speakers understand this deeply. They know that their body language can either reinforce their words or completely contradict them. In this chapter, we'll explore the key components of body language, how it affects your credibility and presence, and what to do to align your nonverbal communication with your message. Why body language matters. According to communication experts, only about 7% of your message is based on the words you say. The rest, a staggering 93%, comes from your tone of voice and nonverbal cues, especially body language. That doesn't mean your words don't matter. But it does mean that if your body language sends a different message, people will trust what they see, not what they hear. If you say, "I'm excited to be here," with crossed arms, a flat expression, and looking down, no one's going to believe you. Smart speaking starts with smart presence. And your presence begins with your posture, gestures, eye contact, and facial expressions. The foundation, posture. Posture is the first signal of confidence. When you stand tall, you take up space, and space equals power in communication. Slouched shoulders, downward gaze, and shifting weight signal nervousness or lack of confidence. Straight back, relaxed shoulders, open stance, these signal that you're comfortable, grounded, and in control. Try this. Before your next conversation or presentation, take a moment to adjust your posture. Stand tall. Plant your feet shoulder-width apart. Roll your shoulders back and breathe deep. This simple shift changes how others perceive you and how you feel inside. Posture isn't just about looking good. It's about owning the space you're in. Eye contact, the gateway to connection. Your eyes reveal your focus, your intention, and your level of confidence. Too little eye contact? You appear nervous, uncertain, or disinterested. Too much? You come off as aggressive or intense. Just right? You build trust, connection, and attention. Aim for balanced, natural eye contact. In one-on-one conversations, look into the other person's eyes about 60 to 70% of the time. Break contact occasionally to avoid staring, but return regularly to stay engaged. In group settings or presentations, scan the room slowly. Make individual eye contact with different people for a few seconds at a time. This gives the feeling that you're talking to each person, not just the room in general. Smart speakers use their eyes to anchor attention and build rapport. Gestures. Let your hands speak. Your hands are powerful communication tools. When used well, gestures can emphasize key points. Make your message more memorable. Add energy and clarity to your speech. Signal honesty and openness. When used poorly, they can become distracting or confusing. Let's start with what to avoid. Fidgeting or touching your face signals nervousness. Pointing aggressively can come off as confrontational. Crossing arms may seem closed off or defensive. Hands in pockets, casual at best, unsure at worst. Now, what to do? Use open gestures, palms slightly up or facing forward. Keep gestures within your frame, the space between your shoulders and waist. Use purposeful movement. Match gestures to your message, e.g., counting on fingers, spreading arms to show size, etc. Let your hands support your words, not distract from them. Facial expressions. Say it without speaking. Your face is your emotional amplifier. It shows enthusiasm, concern, excitement, and sincerity. Smart speakers understand the power of facial expressions. They know that even a small smile can soften tension. A raised eyebrow can show curiosity. A nod can signal understanding. The key is alignment. Your facial expression should match your words. If you say, "This is an exciting opportunity," but your face is blank, the message loses power. Practice in front of a mirror or record yourself speaking. Are you expressive? Do your eyes move? Does your face reflect the emotion of your message? If not, train it. Start small. Add intentional smiles, thoughtful expressions, and emotional awareness into your communication. Movement and presence. Movement is also part of body language, especially when you're standing in front of a group. Some people pace nervously. Others stand frozen in place. Neither is ideal. Smart speakers move with intention. Step forward to emphasize a point. Shift left or right to transition between topics. Walk closer to the audience to increase connection. Stand still during your most important message. This creates gravity and seriousness. Controlled movement creates presence. It makes you appear calm, deliberate, and confident. Uncontrolled movement, like rocking, pacing, or swaying, sends the opposite message. Practice moving with a purpose, not from nervousness. How to align your body with your message. Here's a quick checklist to make sure your body is reinforcing, not undermining, your message. Is my posture upright and open? Am I making balanced eye contact? Are my gestures purposeful, not distracting? Does my facial expression reflect the message I'm sharing? Am I moving with intention, not from nervous energy? If the answer is yes to all 5, you're projecting confidence, warmth, and clarity, without even saying a word. Practicing nonverbal communication. Body language, like speaking, is a skill. It can be learned and improved. Here are some ways to practice. Mirror practice. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Practice using your hands, face, and eyes to deliver a message. Watch how you look when you speak. Video yourself. Record a short presentation. Watch with the sound off. What do your movements, expressions, and posture say? Watch great communicators. Study TED speakers, news anchors, or leaders you admire. Pay close attention to their body language. What do they do that makes them engaging? Get feedback. Ask a trusted friend to observe you while you speak. What did they notice about your nonverbal communication? Awareness is the first step to mastery. Final thoughts. Your body is always communicating, whether you realize it or not. The smartest speakers aren't just skilled with words. They're masters of presence. They understand that how they stand, look, and move shapes how their message is received. So the next time you speak, remember, speak with your body, not just your mouth. Use your eyes to connect. Let your hands support your message. Let your posture speak confidence. Let your face reveal your intention. Because when your body and your words work together, you don't just speak smart, you speak powerfully. Chapter 6. Emotional Intelligence in Conversations. Let's imagine 2 speakers. The first is sharp, articulate, and full of facts. But something's off. They speak at people, not with them. Conversations feel cold, calculated, and one-sided. The second is equally articulate. But they also listen deeply, respond with warmth, and sense how others feel, even without being told. Guess which speaker leaves a lasting impression? It's not just about being smart with words, it's about being smart with people. That's where emotional intelligence comes in. In this chapter, we'll explore what emotional intelligence means, why it's crucial in communication, and how to develop it to become a truly smart speaker. What is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is the ability to recognize, understand, and manage your own emotions, while also recognizing and responding to the emotions of others. In conversation, EQ is your superpower. It helps you stay calm under pressure, read the room, know when to speak and when to pause, build trust and connection, handle criticism or conflict with grace. In short, emotional intelligence makes your communication human, not robotic. It turns your words into connection. Smart speakers are emotionally intelligent communicators. They use logic, yes, but they also use empathy. The 4 pillars of emotional intelligence. There are 4 main components of emotional intelligence. Let's break them down and see how they show up in smart speaking. 1. Self-awareness. This is your ability to understand your own emotions in the moment. Are you nervous before a big talk? Irritated in a meeting? Excited during a conversation? Self-awareness helps you notice your emotions without letting them hijack your behavior. It allows you to respond, not react. Smart speakers don't pretend to be robots. They acknowledge their feelings, manage them, and speak from a place of clarity. To grow self-awareness, practice asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling this way? Is this emotion helping or hurting my communication? 2. Self-regulation. Once you're aware of your emotions, the next step is managing them. Self-regulation is the ability to stay calm, clear, and controlled, even when emotions are high. In conversation, this shows up as not snapping back when provoked, staying composed during criticism, pausing instead of reacting, choosing your words carefully even when frustrated. Think of emotional triggers like waves. You can't stop them, but you can choose whether to surf them or get pulled under. Smart communicators regulate their emotions so they can stay focused on connection, not conflict. 3. Social awareness. This is the ability to read other people's emotions, even when they don't say anything directly. Are they bored, excited, defensive, confused? You can often tell through tone, body language, or subtle facial expressions. Social awareness means picking up on these signals and adjusting your communication style to meet the moment. For example, if someone looks lost, you slow down. If someone seems tense, you soften your tone. If someone's eyes light up, you lean into that topic. Smart speakers don't deliver one-size-fits-all speeches. They tailor their message in real time, based on the emotional state of their audience. 4. Relationship management. This is the ability to build healthy relationships through communication, empathy, and trust. In conversations, it's about being supportive, honest, respectful, collaborative. Whether you're leading a team, giving feedback, resolving conflict, or just having a deep conversation, relationship management is what turns communication into connection. It's the difference between talking to people and connecting with them. The role of empathy. At the heart of emotional intelligence is empathy. Empathy isn't just feeling sorry for someone. It's the ability to understand and share what they're feeling, even if you don't agree. In conversations, empathy sounds like, "That must have been difficult. I hear what you're saying. Let me make sure I understand you right. How can I support you with this?" Empathy builds bridges, especially in difficult conversations. You don't always have to solve the problem. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is listen, validate, and simply be present. Listening with emotional intelligence. Emotionally intelligent people are powerful listeners. They don't just listen for facts, they listen for feelings. They pay attention to what's said, what's not said, the tone behind the words, the energy of the speaker, the emotional context of the conversation, and they reflect it back. Try this in your next conversation. Nod as you listen. Match the speaker's tone and pace. Summarize what you heard. So you're saying, acknowledge emotions. That sounds frustrating. Smart speaking starts with smart listening. When you make people feel heard, they're far more likely to listen in return. Responding, not reacting. Emotionally intelligent communicators pause before responding, especially in high-stress moments. They don't interrupt. They don't blurt. They don't let ego run the show. Instead, they breathe. They reflect. And then they speak, with clarity, purpose, and calm. This is especially powerful during disagreements. When emotions run high, EQ keeps the conversation from turning into a battle. You stay centered. You speak with kindness and confidence. You lead the moment, not get swept up by it. How to build emotional intelligence in speaking. Here are some daily practices to improve your EQ in conversations. Check in with yourself often. Ask, what am I feeling right now? And how is this emotion influencing my tone or words? Slow down in tough conversations. Pause. Breathe. Respond with care, not heat. Get curious about others. Instead of judging or assuming, ask, what might they be feeling? Or what's their perspective? Practice active empathy. Reflect their feelings. Offer validation. Create emotional safety. Ask for feedback. How did that come across, or was I clear? Opens doors for growth and understanding. The more emotionally aware you become, the more your words will land with kindness, clarity, and power. Final thoughts. Being smart in conversation isn't just about vocabulary, facts, or persuasion. It's about emotional connection. Emotional intelligence is the secret ingredient behind every great speaker, leader, and communicator. It builds trust. It de-escalates tension. It turns dialogue into understanding. So as you continue your journey to speak smart, remember this. Know how you feel. Recognize how others feel. Regulate your emotions. Respond with empathy. Communicate with heart. Because people won't always remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Chapter 7. Storytelling that captivates and converts. Every smart speaker has one secret weapon. It's not a fancy vocabulary. It's not a perfect script. It's not even flawless grammar. It's storytelling. Stories are how we connect. Stories are how we remember. And stories are how we influence. Whether you're pitching an idea, leading a team, teaching a lesson, or simply having a conversation, your ability to tell a compelling story can be the difference between being heard and being remembered. In this chapter, you'll learn why storytelling is such a powerful communication tool, how to craft stories that resonate, and how to use them to drive real results, emotionally, mentally, and even financially. Why stories work. Let's start with this. People don't remember data. They remember emotion. When you share raw information, facts, stats, bullet points, your audience listens with their head. But when you share a story, they listen with their heart. Why? Because stories trigger empathy. They help people see themselves in your words. They create suspense, tension, and release, the very things that make us human. A good story feels like an experience, not a lecture. And in communication, experiences are far more persuasive than explanations. What makes a story captivating? A powerful story has 3 key ingredients. 1. Relatability. If your audience can't see themselves in your story, they won't stay engaged. Use simple characters, everyday challenges, or emotions that feel familiar. Ask yourself, will my audience relate to this situation? Have they felt this emotion? Can they see a bit of themselves in the story? Even if your story is personal, always tie it back to something universal, like fear, hope, growth, or failure. 2. Conflict and tension. No conflict, no story. A story without tension is like a joke without a punchline, forgettable. There must be a challenge, obstacle, or struggle. Something the character has to face, figure out, or fight through. The conflict is what keeps people listening. It's what hooks them in. Think. A decision that had consequences. A moment of failure and what you learned. A risk you took and how it paid off, or didn't. 3. Transformation. Every great story ends in change. What was learned? What was gained? What was lost? The transformation is what makes the story meaningful and useful. Your audience walks away not just entertained, but moved. In communication, this transformation is what inspires action, belief, and trust. The simple 3-part story formula. You don't need to be a novelist to tell powerful stories. Just remember this basic structure. 1. The setup. Describe the situation. Introduce the character, you or someone else. Paint the scene with clarity and simplicity. A few years ago, I stood backstage, palms sweating, seconds away from my first ever public talk. 2. The struggle. What went wrong? What was the obstacle or turning point? This is the emotional heart of the story. As I stepped out, my voice cracked. My mind went blank. I froze in front of 300 people. 3. The shift. What changed? What did you learn? What's the takeaway? But that moment taught me something. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward with it. This format is flexible and works for nearly any story, whether you're delivering a keynote, teaching a concept, or just sharing a personal insight. Using stories to influence and convert. Let's talk strategy. Smart speakers don't just tell stories for fun. They use stories to lead minds and move hearts. Here's how you can use storytelling to influence decisions and drive action. 1. Make the listener the hero. When you tell a story, don't always make it about you. Make it about them. Even if it's a personal story, frame it in a way that reflects their journey. Instead of, "Here's how I succeeded," try, "Here's what I learned that could help you succeed." Let them see themselves as the hero of the narrative. 2. Use stories to teach, not preach. Rather than saying, "You should do this," try telling a story that shows what happened when you did or didn't do it. Stories plant the seed. They don't force the message. They let people draw their own conclusions, which makes the impact more personal. 3. Anchor a story to your main message. Always ask yourself, what point am I trying to make? How does this story support that point? A story with no purpose feels like rambling. But a story with a message? That's communication magic. For example, if your topic is resilience, tell a story about a setback you bounced back from. If your topic is clarity, tell a story about a time confusion led to a mistake and what you learned. Tips to tell better stories. Want to instantly improve your storytelling? Try these techniques. 1. Start in the middle. Begin with action. Don't take 5 minutes to build background. Jump straight into the moment of tension. My hands were shaking, and I knew I only had 30 seconds left to make the decision. 2. Use vivid sensory language. Let people feel the moment. Describe sights, sounds, emotions. The room fell silent. I could hear the hum of the air conditioner. My heart pounded in my chest. 3. Show, don't tell. Instead of saying, "I was nervous," show what nervous looked like. I kept adjusting the mic stand, though it didn't need adjusting. My voice quivered on the first sentence. 4. Keep it tight. Long stories lose people. Stay focused. Cut unnecessary details. Move quickly from scene to scene. When to use stories. You can weave storytelling into almost any communication situation. In presentations, open with a personal story to hook attention. In sales or marketing, use customer success stories to build trust. In leadership, share stories to motivate and align your team. In teaching, use real-life examples to explain abstract ideas. In everyday conversations, tell relatable moments to build connection. The key is intention. Don't just tell stories. Use stories to serve your audience. Final thoughts. Storytelling isn't just a communication technique. It's a human instinct. We've been telling stories since the dawn of time, around fires, at dinner tables, and now on stages and screens. And the speakers who rise above the noise? They're the ones who use stories not just to inform, but to transform. So remember, make it relatable. Build tension. Show transformation. Keep it simple. Deliver it with heart. Because when you speak with facts, people understand. But when you speak with stories, people believe. And belief leads to action. Chapter 8. Crafting Memorable Messages That Stick. Let's be honest, people are forgetful. We live in a world flooded with noise, opinions, ads, distractions, and endless content. So if you want your words to actually matter, you need to make them stick. That's the mark of a smart speaker. They don't just talk, they leave a mark. Their words echo. Their message lingers. Their audience remembers what was said long after the conversation ends. In this chapter, we'll uncover the science and strategy behind sticky communication. You'll learn how to craft ideas that are easy to grasp, hard to forget, and powerful enough to spread. Why do some messages stick? Think about this. Why do some speeches go viral, while others disappear? Why do you remember one line from a teacher, mentor, or book years later, but forget what you heard in a meeting this morning? It's because sticky messages follow certain principles. They're not random. They're intentional. And they're built for the human brain. Let's explore those principles. The 6 principles of sticky messages. These ideas come from the best-selling book Made to Stick by Chip and Dan Heath. They identified 6 traits that memorable messages often share. Here's how you can apply them as a smart speaker. 1. Simplicity. Say one thing really well. The core of a sticky message is clarity. Not 10 ideas. Not 5. Just one strong idea, stripped down to its essential truth. Less is more isn't just a saying, it's a strategy. Great communicators take complex thoughts and boil them down into crystal-clear sound bites. Think of classic one-liners like, "Just do it." "Be the change you wish to see." "Knowledge is power." Keep your message focused. Cut the clutter. Sharpen the point. 2. Unexpectedness. Break the pattern. The human brain is wired to notice change. When something surprises us, it sticks. Smart speakers use this to their advantage by opening with a surprising fact, telling a story with a twist, making bold statements, asking unexpected questions. For example, did you know the average person forgets 90% of what they hear within 24 hours? Boom. You've got their attention. The moment you break the pattern, you break through the noise. 3. Concreteness. Make it visual. Abstract words like synergy or alignment don't stick. But if you say, "Imagine trying to row a boat while everyone's paddling in different directions." Now they see it. That's what concreteness does. It paints mental pictures. If you want your message to stick, speak in images, not just ideas. Use examples. Use metaphors. Use comparisons. Make the invisible visible. 4. Credibility. Back it up. A sticky message isn't just emotional. It's believable. Give people reasons to trust what you say. Use real data, but simplify it. Quote experts or studies. Share your personal experience. Let others' results speak for you. For example, Harvard researchers found that using stories in presentations makes ideas 22 times more memorable. That's a stat that strengthens your story. But be careful. Don't overload with data. Use just enough to build trust, not drown attention. 5. Emotion. Make them feel something. People act on emotion, not logic. They might listen with their head, but they decide with their heart. If you want your message to spread, tie it to human values. Hope, fear, joy, anger, pride, belonging. Tap into what people care about. Speak to what matters, not just what's correct. When you trigger emotion, your message leaves an imprint. 6. Stories. Wrap the message in a moment. You've heard this already, and now you're hearing it again. Stories are sticky. They give your message legs to walk and wings to fly. When you embed your message inside a story, it becomes easier to understand, easier to remember, easier to retell. Even a short story, 30 seconds long, can carry your point better than 5 minutes of explanation. So when you want your message to land, ask, what story could bring this to life? Turn messages into mantras. Want to make your message unforgettable? Turn it into a mantra, a short, powerful phrase your audience can repeat. This is what great leaders, coaches, and speakers do. They don't just explain. They craft catchphrases. Examples. Done is better than perfect. What gets measured gets improved. Progress, not perfection. If you confuse, you lose. Short, sharp, memorable. When you speak, look for phrases your audience can carry with them, and even pass on to others. Anchor the message with repetition. Repetition is your secret weapon. People rarely remember something they've heard once. But if they hear it 3, 4, or 5 times, in slightly different ways, it begins to stick. So don't be afraid to. Repeat your core idea. Rephrase it throughout your talk. Come back to it at the end. As the saying goes, tell them what you're going to say. Say it. Then tell them what you said. This may sound redundant, but it's how memory works. Make your message actionable. Sticky messages don't just sit in the mind, they move people forward. Make your message actionable. Show people what to do next. For example, instead of just saying, build confidence, say, start by recording yourself for 60 seconds a day. No audience, just you. Then watch it back. Give clear steps. Offer a way forward. Let people apply what you're saying immediately. The easier you make the next move, the more likely your message will matter. Final thoughts. Great communication isn't about sounding smart. It's about being remembered. The most powerful speakers in the world follow this formula. Keep it simple. Be unexpected. Make it visual. Build credibility. Trigger emotion. Wrap it in story. And when they're done, their message sticks, not just in the mind, but in the heart. Remember this. If it's not remembered, it never happened. And your words deserve to be remembered. In the next chapter, we'll explore something equally important: how to handle difficult conversations with confidence and class. Because speaking smart doesn't just mean sounding good. It means navigating tension, disagreement, and discomfort with grace. Chapter 9. Handling difficult conversations with confidence and class. There's a moment in every conversation where things shift. Maybe the tone gets tense. Maybe someone disagrees. Maybe emotions rise, and suddenly you're not just speaking anymore. You're managing conflict. This is where many people panic. They freeze. They fumble. They either shut down or blow up. But smart speakers? They stay calm. They don't avoid tough conversations. They navigate them with clarity, control, and class. In this chapter, we'll explore how to handle difficult conversations like a true communicator, with emotional intelligence, respect, and persuasive power. The truth about tough talks. Here's what most people get wrong. They think difficult conversations are about winning. But they're not. They're about understanding. And they're about reaching clarity, even if you don't agree. Whether it's a disagreement with a colleague, giving feedback, addressing a mistake, or speaking up for yourself, the goal isn't domination. The goal is resolution. Smart communicators know how to speak truthfully without being harsh. And they know how to stand their ground without burning bridges. So how do they do it? Let's break it down. 1. Start with intent, not emotion. The first rule of hard conversations? Don't let emotions lead. Before you speak, pause and ask, what do I really want to achieve here? What's the outcome I hope for? What's the core message I want them to understand? When you start with clear intent, you avoid reaction-based communication. You're no longer speaking to win an argument. You're speaking to solve a problem. That one shift can change everything. 2. Use I statements, not you attacks. There's a massive difference between "you never listen to me" versus "I feel unheard when I try to speak, and I'd really appreciate more space to finish my thought." The first puts people on defense. The second opens the door to understanding. Use I statements to express your feelings, perceptions, or needs without blaming the other person. Examples: I noticed. I feel. I'm concerned about. I'd like to find a better way to. This style helps you own your message, and it's far more likely to create connection, not conflict. 3. Stay calm, even when they don't. You can't control how others react, but you can control how you respond. When someone gets loud, defensive, emotional, or rude, don't match their energy. Breathe. Pause. Slow down your pace. That calm energy does two things. It keeps you grounded. It invites them to meet you at your level. Remember, the louder they get, the quieter you should become. That's not weakness, that's power. 4. Listen to understand, not to respond. This might be the hardest part. Most people don't listen. They wait to talk. But in tough conversations, real power comes from listening, deeply, patiently, curiously. When you let someone speak without interruption, they feel respected. They become less defensive. And often, they talk themselves into your point of view. Can you help me understand what you're feeling? What's most important to you in this situation? Is there something I'm missing? Then actually listen, without planning your reply. People don't want to be fixed. They want to be heard. 5. Acknowledge, then reframe. Let's say someone accuses you of being unfair. You could deny it, or you could acknowledge their perspective first. Example: I can see why it felt that way. That wasn't my intention, and I'd love to explain where I was coming from. This is called the acknowledge and reframe technique. It works because it validates their feelings, builds empathy, gives you space to shift the direction. You're not agreeing that you were wrong. You're showing respect before offering your perspective. It's a game changer. 6. Stay on the issue, not the identity. Smart speakers know this trap well. The moment you make it personal, the conversation falls apart. Avoid. You always do this. You're so difficult. That's just who you are. Instead, focus on this situation, this behavior, this moment. Critique the action, not the person. That keeps the conversation productive, not painful. 7. Know when to pause or exit. Not all conversations need to be finished in one go. If emotions are running too high, you have permission to pause. You can say, I want to continue this, but I think we both need a moment to cool off. Let's talk again in an hour. That's maturity, not avoidance. And sometimes, when someone is unwilling to be respectful or honest, the best choice is to step away entirely. You're not obligated to stay in every conversation. You're obligated to protect your peace. 8. Use assertiveness, not aggression. Assertiveness means speaking up clearly and respectfully. It sounds like, I hear your point, but I see it differently. That's not okay with me. Here's what I need moving forward. Assertiveness sets boundaries, without hostility. It's confident, calm, and clear. Aggression, on the other hand, attacks. It dominates. It belittles. It burns bridges. Choose assertiveness. It earns respect. 9. End with mutual understanding, if possible. The best way to close a hard conversation? Summarize what you've both shared. Example: so what I'm hearing is that you want more clarity in communication, and I'm asking for quicker responses. Does that sound right? This confirms that you've both been heard. Even if you don't agree on everything, aim for a shared direction. Even something as simple as, let's work on this together going forward. That creates unity, not division. Final thought. Hard conversations are part of life. But how you handle them, that's what separates average communicators from smart ones. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be calm, clear, courageous, compassionate. And above all, you need to stay true to your values, even when things get tense. Because anyone can talk when it's easy. But real communicators show their strength when it's hard. In the final chapter, we'll bring it all together. We'll explore how to practice, improve, and master smart speaking in daily life, so you can become unforgettable wherever you go. Built in small moments, a daily conversation, a thoughtful response, a meaningful pause. If you want to master the skill of speaking smart, this is your path. Practice, awareness, reflection, growth. And it starts right where you are. 1. The myth of natural talent. Let's get this out of the way first. Smart speaking is not a gift you're born with. It's a skill you develop. The greatest communicators, from leaders to coaches to storytellers, didn't start out perfect. They got good because they practiced. They learned from awkward moments, failed conversations, honest feedback, and showing up over and over again. So if you've ever said, "I'm just not good at this," remember, that's not a fixed truth. That's just a starting point. Every conversation is a rep. Every moment is a training ground. 2. Turn everyday moments into practice. You don't need a TED Talk stage to practice powerful communication. You just need your daily life. Here's how to turn normal moments into training. At work, practice clarity in emails, calmness in meetings, and presence in presentations. At home, practice patience, active listening, and empathy. With friends, try humor, storytelling, and engaging conversations. With strangers, make eye contact, ask great questions, and speak with warmth. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to refine your tone, your timing, your confidence, and your presence. You're not just talking. You're building muscle memory for communication. 3. Microhabits that build mastery. You don't need massive changes to become a better speaker. You need small, consistent habits. Try these. Pause before you speak. Even a second of silence helps you sound more thoughtful and confident. Replace fillers with stillness. Instead of, just pause. Stillness speaks volumes. Record yourself. Listen to your tone, pacing, and clarity. Don't judge, just improve. Mirror practice. Talk to yourself in the mirror. Watch your body language, facial expressions, and posture. Daily reading aloud. Read a few minutes from a book or article each day. It sharpens pronunciation and fluency. These small habits, done consistently, create lasting transformation. 4. Seek out constructive feedback. Feedback is fuel. Ask people you trust. How do I come across when I speak? Was I clear in that meeting? Did that story land well? Was I too fast, too slow, too vague? You're not looking for compliments. You're looking for insights. And when someone gives you honest input, say thank you and use it to get sharper. Great communicators don't defend their flaws. They work on them. 5. Observe the masters. Want to level up your speaking? Study great communicators. Watch TED Talks. Listen to powerful podcasts. Observe leaders, actors, coaches, or even friends who speak well. Ask yourself, what makes them engaging? How do they use their voice? How do they tell stories? What makes you trust them? You're not copying, you're learning techniques. You're seeing what's possible and shaping your own unique style. 6. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for progress. Perfection is the enemy of progress. It leads to overthinking, self-doubt, and silence. Smart speakers understand this truth. It's better to speak imperfectly than to stay silent. You will mess up. You will forget your point. You will say, too many times. That's part of it. What matters is, did you connect? Did you stay present? Did you show up with honesty and effort? That's what people remember. Not perfect grammar, but genuine energy. 7. Speak with purpose, always. Every time you speak, you're either building connection, sharing a message, creating influence, or wasting energy. So speak with intention. Ask yourself, what's my message? What do I want them to feel or do? Am I just filling silence, or am I saying something that matters? Smart communication is not about talking more, it's about talking with impact. Even one sentence can be powerful, if it's intentional. 8. Reflect and refine. After every meaningful conversation, take 30 seconds to reflect. What went well? What could have been better? Did I listen more than I spoke? Was I clear or vague? How did I make them feel? This isn't about guilt or judgment. It's about growth. Even just a few seconds of reflection helps turn everyday experiences into life-changing lessons. Growth doesn't come from the talk. It comes from the review. 9. Use your voice for good. As you grow, remember this. Your voice is powerful. Not just for influencing crowds, but for lifting someone up, for offering encouragement, for calming conflict, for sharing truth, for planting ideas that change someone's day or even their life. You don't just speak to be heard. You speak to serve. Use your communication skills to build, not break, to lead, not dominate, to inspire, not impress. That's the real mastery. Final words. You're already becoming one. If you've made it this far in the book, let me tell you something important. You're not trying to become a smart speaker. You're already becoming one. You've built the mindset. You've explored the psychology. You've learned the tools: tone, timing, body language, storytelling, clarity, confidence. Now it's just about living it, moment by moment. Every phone call, every meeting, every disagreement, every story you share. They're all a part of your growth. Because in the end, smart speaking isn't about sounding smart. It's about making others feel understood. It's about leading with clarity and care. It's about mastering your voice, so you can change your life and others. So go out there. Speak boldly. Speak wisely. Speak smart. The world is listening. Conclusion. Your voice, your power. Let's take a moment and breathe it all in. You've just completed a journey that many never begin, a deep dive into the art and psychology of smart speaking. Not to sound impressive, not to dominate conversations, but to connect, to influence, and to elevate the way you communicate in every area of your life. Think back on what you've learned. You've built the mindset of a smart speaker, calm, intentional, and growth-focused. You've explored the psychology of listening and how influence begins with understanding. You've learned how to speak with clarity rather than complexity, and how the right pauses, tone, and timing can change the way your message is received. You now understand that body language speaks before words do. That emotional intelligence is the silent engine of every great conversation. And that storytelling can captivate hearts and open minds. You've discovered the power of memorable messages. And most importantly, you've embraced the truth. Mastery comes not from talent, but from consistent, everyday practice. This isn't just theory. This is transformation. And it starts with you. Right now, in your next conversation, your next message, your next chance to speak with purpose. So, where do you go from here? You apply. You practice. You refine. Not all at once. Not with pressure, but with presence. Make communication your playground. Test ideas. Try new tones. Experiment with stories. And reflect often. You're no longer a passive speaker. You're an intentional communicator. Your words now carry more than sound. They carry weight, meaning, influence, and impact. Final thought. Let me leave you with this. The world doesn't just need louder voices. It needs clearer, kinder, smarter communicators. People who speak with empathy. Who listen with care. Who pause before reacting. Who tell stories that lift. And who use their voice to lead, not to overpower. That's who you are becoming. And every time you choose clarity over confusion, presence over performance, and connection over control, you step closer to that version of yourself. So go ahead. Speak smart. Speak true. Speak boldly. Your voice matters. And the world is waiting to hear it. Studio Microphone, thank you for listening. If you found this audiobook valuable and inspiring, here's how you can support and grow this journey. White heavy checkmark, subscribe to the channel for more powerful audiobooks, summaries, and insights that help you grow your mindset, your skills, and your voice. Thumbs up like this video if it helped you learn something new. It means the world and helps reach others who need this message. Pushpin comment below. Tell us, what was your favorite chapter? What part of How to Speak Smart will you apply today? Bell, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you're the first to know when the next life-changing audiobook drops. You've just completed How to Speak Smart. Master the psychology of powerful communication. Now go speak with purpose. The world is listening. Thank you for spending your time with me. I'll see you in the next one.